When the waves rise and the storms roll in, leaning on each other, it gets us through. The school year, it's coming, and it's relentless, but we can get through it together. Let's ride that storm, rowing together through the good and the bad on this episode of the Educators Among Us podcast.
Welcome to the Educators Among Us podcast, where we share motivational messages and inspiring stories for and about educators. Your host, Scott Barron, is author of the critically acclaimed book, Love 'Em and Lead 'Em, and provides powerful insights and wisdom for those who heed the call to teach, coach, lead, and serve at all levels of education.
This is Scott Barron, and I'm honored to be your host for the Educators Among Us podcast. It's been a week of adventures. I've been able to go through a knee replacement surgery, and working through all the recovery and the medications and the things that come with that. And so I appreciate your patience with my voice today because it's a little rusty. But it's been a celebration because everything has gone as scheduled, and that's been a real significant praise for sure. And so appreciate those that have been praying for us through that journey. And now we're looking forward to some exciting things this fall as we begin to expand some of the work that we're doing in leadership development, and especially around communications and building relationships. That's a new book that we're launching here this fall called The Laws of the Grapevine. And I'm so excited to finally be able to share this. I've taught that material for many years, and now get to be able to even be more detailed with it in a book and some other materials. So that's coming, and I would love to get your feedback on that. You know, we all go through big adventures, and this has been a big adventure for sure. And there are adventures that take us in some uncomfortable places sometimes, right? When we have to get way more outside of our comfort zone than we anticipated. And it's just part of it. And sometimes, we see it coming and know that's going to be part of this, like this surgery. And other times we have no idea it's coming. There was a lot of excitement. Here we go. And then all of a sudden, the situation, it changes, and we have to figure out sometimes how to work together even better to solve for the problems. And it's like Patrick Lencioni once said, if you could get all the people in the organization rowing together, right? Rowing in the same direction, you could dominate any industry in any market against any competition at any time, right? The idea of working together, of solving problems together, that's not only a beautiful thing, but it's a significant competitive advantage, and it helps us accomplish a greater mission together. I'm reminded of the idea of rowing and sailing and dealing with, some of the adventures of a time, once upon a time, when some of the members of my family decided to give sailing a try. This is when I was a kid, and it was my father and sister and some others that they decided to kind of set out. That it was it would be I think it would be a misdefinition to call this a sailboat. It was more like a dinghy, it was at best a dinghy, and they felt that it was manageable. From after the instructor gave some quick overview and some tips and techniques, they had a confidence, and so they were launched off on the beach, ready to go out into the sunshine and enjoy the day. But with their newfound skills, they ran into some problems, because what began as an exciting trip, it soon became kind of a frightening nightmare. I mean, what happened was we didn't check the weather. We didn't anticipate. And so a storm hit, a very dangerous storm. And the sail, it didn't take too long until it was not functional. It was damaged. The rudder even became inoperable. And we have some school administrators I know that are friends that are sailors, and they know if you don't have a sail and you have no rudder, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. And so this is what happened. And thankfully, some rescuers that were able to go out into the storm, they found them and they returned them to us safely. Life happens, storms happen. But we have to kind of consider, right? How do we get through that? Louisa May Alcott once said, "I'm not afraid of storms, for I'm learning how to sail my ship. And sometimes you learn some of the best lessons in the storms. And we retold that story, the story of that day many times. I mean, we connected it to all kinds of useful life lessons, from parenting to teaching to, leading, et cetera. And pride was felt. There's a lot of pride from having survived the trip, but also some humility. There was humility from the risks taken as well. Like, man, we were a little bit careless there. We were a little bit nutty. Got to be more careful next time, right? Enthusiasm for adventure is great, but zeal without knowledge, and that's risky. That's a risky path. So it took teamwork. The family in that moment, they had to work together. They had to, not only they had to have teamwork, but tenacity. They had to survive and to keep it all together in the chaos, in the managing, a boat with no sail and nothing to steer with, and fully engaged in collective success while also aligning individual efforts to succeed. That's what we do. That's what we especially do in education, right? We have all these talented people, but if we're not aligned, if we're not rowing together, if we're not committed to the same mission, if we're not committed to the teamwork and the tenacity to overcome the storms, we're going to run into trouble. We're going to deal with some very difficult situations. That's school life. That's the way it works, right? Being joyful, finding joy in those moments is a critical element. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful even in prayer. And I guarantee we were praying a lot that night as we hoped our family would come home, and they were as well, trying to get out of it, right? That's from Romans 12:12. Faithful in prayer. It matters. And sometimes in our school year, we're going to have to re-engage in some prayer life to be able to say, man, I need help. We got to get through this because every school year, it feels like a similar endeavor. We start off with such excitement. Yeah. And for all the experiences ahead, while also, we also recognize that the storms will rise up. They're going to come, right? So what do? Well, we row together. We row together in the same direction and in rhythm, because that offers great advantages. Right? If we can stay together, if we can keep our purpose together, if we can row together in the right directions. I mean, sometimes we have to calibrate that. Are we going in the right direction, right? And that's a part of it, but together, that's the advantage, because we will run into friction and failures. That's the way this works. Yes, we will. And we're going to keep on rowing. We're going to keep on rowing together. Will we have to make adjustments? Yes. And we'll keep on growing together. That's what great educators and leaders and people do. People who know how to love and to lead. They invest the time. They recognize that that's okay. We're going to run into things that we didn't expect. We're going to have to deal with conflict. We're going to have to deal with confusion. We're going to have to deal with some friction. Okay. I get it, right? But we keep rowing together. Why? Because we change people's lives. That's what educators do. We change people's lives. And that's a quest worth enduring. That's a quest that's worth putting up with the storms. That's a quest that's worth taking on the risks of to myself as well as to us collectively, because we change people's lives. So as you go through this week, the challenge is learn in the storms. Learn in the storms, my friend. Rowing together as a team toward the greater mission. Remembering, keeping in mind that our calling is so much greater, that there is something that's happening here. It's not just about the knowledge. It's about the wisdom. It's about the eternal purpose, right? That's the joy of the work. We see the storm on the horizon and we keep rowing together. Sometimes we're already in the storm. I mean, we could be early in the school year, middle of the school year, but we're already in it. Keep rowing together. Almost out of the storm? Hey, keep rowing together. That's the secret sauce. A coaching question for you to consider as you're going through each day this week. Did I do my best to learn in the storms today? Did I do my best to learn in the storms today? Love him and lead him, my friend. This is Scott.
Thank you for joining us for the Educators Among Us podcast and for your courageous commitment to this noble calling. We get you and the challenges of this work. To stay connected with this community, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and weekly encouragement at educatorsamongus.com.